time that this invitation was coming out. And though other people knew about Jehovah outside of the Jewish realm, people weren't able to worship Jehovah under that Mosaic law. So it was kind of like they were shut out of that invitation. It wasn't open to everyone. So how would Jehovah reconcile this? Well, Jesus went on to explain that in John 4:23, an hour would be coming, and it is now. Well, that sounds kind of like a contradiction. How can an hour be coming and be now? Well, let's read about it. Now, John 4:23, it says the hour, 4:23 again, it says, nevertheless the hour is coming and it is now. Okay, so that's fact. So in John 4:23, we see that there's a particular date set up for this invitation. Romans 10:4 is a contrasting scripture to this point. So let's take a look at that because it's going to help us understand about this time and place of the invitation. It says, for Christ is the end of the law, so that everyone exercising faith may have righteousness. So Jesus shows that he is the end of the law. This would mean that his death would end the Mosaic law, or that exclusive relationship that the Jews had with Jehovah under the Mosaic law. So what does this event usher in? If that law is going to be gone, what's going to replace it? Well, it will be the new covenant, the perfect law of Christ. So if Jesus' new invitation to worship Jehovah under the new covenant went into play at the hour of his death, how could it be coming now? After all, Jesus was still alive as this invitation was going out. Well, this invitation under the law was already going out because though Jesus had not died, he had already begun inviting others outside of the Jewish realm to worship Jehovah under the new law. As a matter of fact, Palestine, Rome, Samaria, and even Gentiles were being invited. As Brother Wirt touched earlier, it was the informal witnessing of the woman at the well. He had mentioned this. So that invitation was already going out through the preaching work. Hence the phrase, the hour is coming, and it is now. As in any gathering, guests are expected to maintain some kind of code of conduct, so as not to embarrass the host. Is this the same for the invitation that Jehovah and Jesus puts out? Well, yes. Please turn with me to John 4:24, and let's see how that code of conduct is brought into light here. It says, God is the Spirit, and those worshiping him must worship in spirit and truth. So see, we can't come or take advantage of that invitation unless we worship Jehovah in spirit and truth. But what does that mean? Well, the spirit and truth means that those who worship him would study and also come to a consistent truth of Bible knowledge. It's revealed in the word of Jehovah himself. They would come to learn his purposes, and they would find themselves worthy of this invitation because they sacrificed their own thoughts and ways of living in favor of Jehovah's ways and thoughts. Exodus 23:14 through 17 brings out another point about this Mosaic law and how its ending would affect mankind. For many years, the Jews under the Mosaic law had to travel to places like the Jewish temple, Mount Gerizim, and they had to make sacrifices, and they had to do this up to 3 times a year. So these physical places and material things would no longer be the standard, but instead it would be what we just described as worshiping Jehovah in spirit and truth. So what does that have to do with us? How does that affect us? Well, there are over 20 million people that attended the memorial. We have over 8 million witnesses. So you invited double the numbers to come worship Jehovah. That's part of that invitation going out, that preaching work. And not only do we help others when we send out these invitations by means of the preaching work, but many of us here tonight are beneficiaries of that invitation. We now have over 120,000 active congregations, and the preaching work is being done in 240 lands. And it is, as the Bible describes in John 4:23, the Father is looking for ones to worship him. And so may we always cherish the privilege that we have to have a full share, a full hand in extending out that invitation to worship Jehovah under this new law covenant. And may we do it to all nations, all tribes, all tongues, and all people.